people are sometimes shocked to realise just how many Christians have been involved in scientific endeavour. I mean, do you want to give us some examples and the people that you talk about in the book?
Newton, I think he's a controversial figure. Some would say, yeah, definitely straight down the line, committed Christian. Others would say, well, a bit unorthodox on some fronts. But what is clearly true is he loved his Bible. Mm-hmm. He studied his Bible deeply. He wrote more Bible commentary than he wrote science in his life. And he believed in the God of the Bible. And then you have other people like Kepler, who explicitly says, I'm doing this to learn more about God. Incidentally, he was right about a lot of the stuff that Galileo was wrong about at the same time.
Something else that Kepler says, we sometimes refer to Stephen Hawking, don't we, as the man who coined this idea of thinking, science being like thinking God's thoughts after him. Actually, it wasn't Hawking. Hawking was quoting Kepler. Kepler says, gosh, if piety will allow me to say so, doing my science, it feels like thinking God's thoughts after him.
Who are some of your heroes in this regard?
Oh, well, I'm a massive fan of James Clerk Maxwell, actually. Well, two great 19th century, great experimentalist, a great theoretician, James Clerk Maxwell and Michael Faraday, both deeply committed Christian men. Faraday also committed to public outreach, so he sort of invented the course to flourish, these great Friday evening discourses right here in London at the Royal Institution. If you were anyone, you wore your glittery frocks and bow ties to the Royal Institution on a Friday night every week to hear what was great in science from Michael Faraday. When he'd done that, he'd take a left turn out of the building and go to the soup kitchen, because he was a member of a church. Unusual church, doesn't exist anymore. It's a Christian church that had a passionate commitment to the poor of London, and he always saw that his science. He's the one who discovered really how electricity and magnetism are two sides of the cake, same coin, and work off each other. And then Maxwell, probably the greatest genius these islands have ever produced, apart from Newton, and maybe just as great, should be much better known. Scotsman. Mathematically formulated the laws of electromagnetic fields and much besides, solids, liquids, gases, statistical mechanics. I use Maxwell's physics every day in what I do.
This is Premier Christian Radio.